Order the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting of April 9th, 2025 at 7:06 p.m. The city strongly denounces hate speech and does not tolerate disruptive behavior in our meetings. Sunnyvale prides itself on the rich diversity of our residents. We are committed to creating a culture of belonging where members of a diverse community feel included, safe, and respected. This commission meeting is considered a limited public forum, which means the commission can regulate the time, place, and manner of speech. Speaker comments must be limited to the agenda item being considered by the commission for the consent calendar or for public hearing items. Speaker comments during oral communications must be limited to matters within the commission's authority, generally referred to as within the commission's subject matter jurisdiction. If a speaker's comments are not related to an agenda item, the presiding officer will rule the speaker out of order. A speaker will not be ruled out of order because of disagreement with the content of their speech. Location and online meeting details are provided on the Parks and Recreation Commission's agenda. Scan the on-screen QR code or click the language access or translation link on the meeting agenda to read and listen along in more than 50 different languages. Use the show captions button to view captions on Zoom. Comments on matters not on the agenda or presentation items must be submitted prior to the time I call the item for oral communications. Comments on agenda items must be submitted prior to the time I close the public hearing on the agenda item. Speakers are requested to keep their comments to a time period set for public comments for the agenda item, which will be strictly enforced. Guidelines are posted on the city's website and on the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting agenda. My understanding is we have a lot of people here that want to talk about pickleball. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do that pickleball public comment right after the presentation, okay? In the event someone shows up late, as long as they're here by oral communications, we'll hear from them too, all right? We'll hear from everybody who wants to speak about things today. So with that, I'd like to ask everyone to join me in the salute to our flag. Just right over there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's play ball. Roll call. Recording officer, can we please have a roll call?
Chair Custing.
I am here.
Vice Chair Mason.
Present.
Commissioner Bremond.
Present.
Commissioner Geary.
Present.
That's 4 present and 1 excused absence.
I'd like to rise to the occasion of what is it? Rise, man, I'm listening to my cheat sheet. Rise to the question of privilege. It seems as though we don't have enough chairs in here to accommodate all the public. Is there any way we can get some additional chairs for the public that might want to be seated? Thank you so much, Jim. You're a gentleman. All right, we will start with study sessions. For our first item, which is 25-0527, we have one of my favorites, the Field and Facility Usage Report. Tracy Gott will be presenting.
Okay, thank you very much, Tracy Gott. I work for Sports Aquatics and Facilities Unit. I'm a Recreation Services Manager. So tonight we are going to be talking about facilities and fields. So a lot of data, but really what I'm hoping is just to give you an overview of the work that we do, and then for the questions and discussion. So we'll go ahead and wait. Which way am I pointing? Oh, there. Okay. So Laura. All right, so the first thing I wanted to do, because I do recognize maybe that we have some new commissioners, is just give you a quick overview of our website and where to go for information. Right. So in the presentation I've provided, I included some links, and I do recognize that one of our links is wrong, so we'll send out a new link. But the facility rental rate. So if you go to the City of Sunnyvale's webpage and you search facility rentals, it'll come up to this webpage. And this really is your starting point for anything fields, buildings, picnics, sports, and all of that information. So you can kind of scroll down, you see the master rates, you see the meeting events, parks, sports facilities, performing arts rental information. The picnic site availability, which is going to be on the other tab, we can do that one, or you can do the tab, which one is one of the other tabs that I highlighted. And which is what's neat about the picnic site availability webpage is that you can actually go on and see if the picnic site that you want is open that day. So you don't necessarily have to call in and find out, hey, can I have this picnic site on Saturday the 10th? You can go look online and put that in and kind of save yourself that extra step. We also have, the only one that isn't really online yet is the meeting rooms. So if somebody is looking to book a room either at the community center or at the senior center or one of the park buildings, they do have to call the front desk or send us an email and let us know about that. But you can look online at the tab and it shows you the rates and just the different rooms and the size available. And then the last tab that I wanted to highlight was kind of the fields. So the fields really just shows you, again, the availability. You can go on and check if you wanted Fair Oaks, when is it used? And then you can kind of give you the rates again and all of the just different information out there. So our website, we did work hard to kind of try and simplify it. We do recognize that sometimes it is a little confusing, but you know, if you start at that starting point of facility rental rates, you should be able to find pretty much everything you want. And then our staff are always great about answering questions if you have questions. So that's just a little overview of our webpage. I'm in echo. So anyway, so moving back on then to the presentation, okay, 1 second. We'll get into the data part. Okay, so park buildings. We have 12 park buildings and I made a typo, actually 10 are available for public rentals. One is used specifically for preschool and is not available for rentals. So in 2024, we had over 3,000 reservations and over 16,000 hours of use, mostly by the public, nonprofit. We have rentals and then city internal programs. This slide just kind of, and I'm not going to go through every single data point because I might bore you, but it just shows you the number of reservations, the number of hours, and kind of a little breakdown of the resident versus the non-resident. One little data point I was going to, nope, was just to show that we've actually increased our resident use of the park buildings this year. There's been more requests. And then usage by category, we do have a lot of nonprofit groups, neighborhood associations, a lot of our sports groups, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, so just a lot of different nonprofit groups that do use our park buildings. We do a lot of programming out there. We do table tennis, we do a lot of camps, and then other departments use the park buildings, and then just private rentals, a lot of parties, celebrations out at those. And so we just kind of divided it by use. So when it comes to picnics, we have 40 reservable areas in 14 different parks. Last year, and we're going by calendar year, so when I say last year, it's 2024 calendar year. We had 1,500 reservations. Reservations for picnics are available April to October, and they're for the full day. So we don't allow people to have more than one reservation per day because then the time gets kind of messy. Over on the left is a little more information about Baylands. Baylands has 19 reservable areas, and last year they had over 1,200 reservations, and it was 31% reserved. And on the right just kind of goes and does a breakdown again of our picnic sites. And we broke it down this year from last year to this year, so you can see, you know, some picnic sites decreased, some picnic sites increased. By far, I think this year Ortega was our busiest park site with reservations. So we move on to the community center. We have a couple main buildings in the community center complex. We have the recreation center, which has a ballroom, and then we also have the senior center, which has a ballroom and is used a lot during the day by the senior center programs. The recreation center, the main rooms used during the day are the ballroom and the community center or neighborhood room. I'll get it, community ballroom. So the reservations there was 1,177. And we just looked at, for the reservations on the weekend, it's pretty well used, so it was over 78% reserved on the weekends. The senior center, the total reservations throughout the year, 4,966. And that seems a lot higher, but that is also because it is used full-time as a senior center. So a lot of the rooms during the day are utilized at the senior center. And then on the weekends, it's a pretty busy place. The theater, if you haven't ever been, is kind of a nice little gem. This year we've had, or this past year had 420 reservations, and the theater is used or reserved 90% of the time. So it's pretty well utilized. They do a lot of internal programs. We do some camps. We do the evenings of cultural arts. But then we also have Sunnyvale community players and some other agreement groups that do presentations throughout the year. Now we're moving on to gymnasiums. And so I'm going fast, but I know we have a lot to cover tonight, so I want to make sure we get everything in. So Columbia Neighborhood Center and the Indoor Sports Center at the Recreation Center campus, they both offer a variety of programs. We do sports leagues, drop-in gym, adult classes, summer and school break camps, and then this year, both of the gyms hosted the Sunnyvale Youth Basketball League. Some stats for the Columbia Neighborhood Center gym, they had 672 reservations. The gym was reserved 61% of the time for about 1,600 hours. The Indoor Sports Center on the Recreation Center campus had 1,800 reservations. The gym was reserved 96% of the time for almost 4,000 hours. A little difference between Columbia Neighborhood Center is we share that building with the school use, so we don't have full control of the gym space all the time, so that's why there's a difference in the numbers. Field rentals seems to always be a good topic to talk about. We have lots of fields, 11 fields with lights. This year we had over 7,400 reservations within our fields. And on the right, the table just kind of shows the athletic park fields by the school fields. And if it's in bold, those just kind of denote the fields that have lights. So again, we have a lot of groups that we share our space with. So some of the nonprofit groups that we partner with, we have the Little Leagues, softball, soccer, cricket, basis, and 84% of the sports groups use our fields, and then 16% are private rentals. Last year, I think our sports groups used it 74%, so it's definitely, the demand is increasing by our sports group. And then the data part. So this year I did something different. I kind of went back to the past 3 or gave an overview of the past 3 years. So you can see kind of the different numbers, use trends. One thing to note is that last year when we were giving this presentation, we inadvertently provided some wrong data. So 2023 numbers from last year were a little off. So this data here is the correct data for all 3 years. We pulled some new reports. And so if you're referencing anything about fields, this is the correct information to use. On the right, it's just a little note about non-lighted field use is 27%. I know we often hear that we don't have fields. We do have fields, but sometimes they're not the ones that people prefer to play on, or it's the prime time that people don't want to use. Again, another list of just kind of the stats for all the non-lighted fields. And then just a highlight of the 2022, 2023, and 2024 field use by the number of reservations. And you can see each year they are increasing. And then the same thing, another list of non-lighted fields. But then on the right, we actually just showed the number of hours that the fields are used for. And again, the field hours are increasing. Then we get to our slide about the lighted fields. And I just highlighted the average use of Fair Oaks and used the soccer fields as a reference for that number because they are the main fields at Fair Oaks that are used. And so that kind of gives you a true reference of Fair Oaks is utilized 72% of the time. Oh, and that is it. So it's a lot of data, but if you have any questions, let me know.
Sure thing. I'm sure we're going to have questions. First, I'm going to open up to my fellow commissioners. Do any of my commissioners have questions or comments for staff? The chair recognizes Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, first of all, so much for the presentation. That was very informative. I did have a question just about field rentals. I know that the information is online, but how or has the city thought about those residents or those people who live in the city that may not necessarily be able to afford rental costs? How, is there any subsidy for them? Let's say they want to have a birthday party for their children and you would think the cheapest place to do it is in the park. How does that work? Do we have anything in the works just to subsidize that?
And, it's a good question, and I don't believe we do. So that's something that we could take back and look at. We do have our scholarship program, but right now that's focused on youth 18 and younger. So that can be a discussion we talk about as we review the policies.
So right now, all residents pay the same amount to rent. Not
Yes.
even a picnic table. Let's just say they wanted to use like field space. They'd have to sign up for that field space and
Yeah.
pay money for a birthday party.
Right. It's broken down residents primarily and then non-residents.
I don't mean to interject, but there are two different rates for field usage. Veronica, could you elaborate on that?
Actually, we have three different rates. We have synthetic
you.
rate. So we have the turf at Fair Oaks, which is 45 for residents, 90 for non-residents an hour. And the light fees are $35 an hour at any field. It's the same fee. For the grass fields, I believe it's 28 and 43. So $28 for residents, 43 for non-residents.
If I can just add a follow-up question or ask a follow-up question, how does that work though? If a bunch of kids just want to use the grass and run around, do they have to pay for it? So what constitute rental versus?
So it's exclusive use. So if somebody reserves, let's say, for example, like Ortega Park, there's a baseball field, a softball field, and in the outfield is a cricket pitch. So if they want exclusive use of the softball field where it's just for them, they would have to make a reservation. Now, there are times when the fields are not reserved, and that is a first come, first served drop-in basis. And then we also have a variety of neighborhood parks that that are non-reservable, that are just for the neighborhoods, and anyone can drop in and utilize those fields as well.
So if a group of kids just wanted to use part of Sarah Park, where granted there is a baseball area, but there's also just open grass.
Yeah, so.
Do people rent that or how does that work?
So Sarah Park there's 5 different fields that you can reserve from out there. So we've got 2 baseball fields, open grass, and then another bowl that's out in front. And then the outfields also create another field. So there's a lot of overlapping fields at our parks, like Ortega has overlapping, Washington, Fair Oaks. So technically there could be open space, but again, if we have a little league that has the fields reserved, then it might not be available to that time frame, right? But there is some open space and availability. It just depends on the flexibility of the community if they can relocate to another park or field.
Like a group of kids don't have to just reserve that.
They don't.
They
no,
just can
because
come,
it could be
play.
open. Absolutely. Yep.
I could speak to that briefly. I was out at Muwekma Park earlier just this afternoon there, and there was a small pickup game of soccer. There were a bunch of kids running around on the grass. Someone was practicing cricket, kind of one-on-one. There's also non-reservable tables that are just open to the public, first come, first serve. So example, if you wanted to have a birthday party out at Muwekma or any of the other, medium to small size parks, you could absolutely go out there, first come, first serve basis, have fun on the grass, no cost. We want people in the parks. We want people running around having a good time. And then utilize the non-reservable picnic tables. And yeah, it's for the public and it's all free. Yeah.
Do we have any other public comments? Comments from the commission? The chair recognizes Commissioner Geary.
Thank you, Chair. So when I see Rainer Park utilization is so low at 29%, is there any particular reason for that? Park building for Rainer Park shows 29% usage.
Rainer Park building. So you're talking about the park building itself, right?
I think that's what.
Yeah, I mean, it is low. I don't know that we have ever kind of looked at why some are low and others are higher. Sometimes it's the year, sometimes it's the groups that live in that neighborhood. And I haven't been out to Rainer Park building to see the condition, so it might not be as nice and pretty as some of our other ones. So maybe next year I can include some pictures.
And a lot of the buildings are used in different ways. For example, Murphy Park building, it's reserved a lot of the time by a ping pong club. Right? Who knew, right? But it is, they pretty much dominate the usage there. Some of them have preschools, some of them have, kind of regular activities. I think Rainer just doesn't have any real regular programming.
Rainer is one of our smaller park buildings, so it can't accommodate a lot of people.
So how do we, utilization wise, I mean, these are mostly, the utilization is weekend hours or is it weekday hours? I mean, do we have some kind of at least a rough idea of? how-
Right. So we kind of based the percentage off of kind of evening, after hours, and weekend hours because not a lot of park buildings are utilized, with the exception of table tennis, during the day. So when you see the utilization, it's kind of our prime time when it's Friday, Saturday, Sundays.
Thank you.
You have a follow-up? The chair recognizes Commissioner Mason for a follow-up question.
I just had another question. What percentage of the city revenue comes from park rentals?
That's a great question.
That I will have to get back to you and find that information. I mean, we do track the park revenue, but I don't know what percentage it makes of our overall revenue. So we can follow up and give you that information.
And just kind of appropriate of that, just in terms of all the maintenance that we have to do on the parks? Like, what's the revenue versus how much it actually costs for all the maintenance for the up-team parks we have in this beautiful city?
Yeah, we don't really track that. We'd have to kind of extrapolate it, but we can go back and try to get that, try to tease that number out, but we just don't kind of have it on hand.
It's also a really good question to ask next month when we have the joint meeting with the Arts Commission, and our finance director will go through the library and recreation budget.
The chair recognizes Commissioner Gary for a follow-up question.
So do we have any stats on how many requests we have to reject, reservation requests? That will give us an idea of what's the demand. I mean, maybe there's conflicting requests. I mean, some might be like, I mean, I look at this lighted field use, right? So that will give us an idea. There's more requests for the same place in the evenings.
Because we're fortunate to have many fields in Sunnyvale, I hardly reject a reservation. The only is the cricket pitch, because we only have one grass cricket pitch, but it's a puzzle, and I try to accommodate every single person I possibly can. It's really rare, unless there's like a regulation baseball diamond and I can't accommodate, 5 adult baseball groups, maybe, or they're not flexible in the time that it is available. But we do at least for fields, I know we do a really good job of trying to accommodate almost every single request. We just had a summer field draw today, and I can accommodate 100% of them, so.
I'm going to ask a couple questions, but before I do that, I would like to commend staff on the presentation. Thank you so much, Tracy. I really do look forward to this report every single year. And it doesn't escape me that you talked about last year's hours, or I have an open-ended question directed, I think, towards me about citing that information. And before I go on, I'd also like to commend Veronica Torres, who off the cuff knew the exact prices of all of our fields, including the cost of lighting. That doesn't escape me at all, Veronica. Thank you so much for all of your service. I do want to push back on the concept that we have lots of fields. I agree that we do have a lot of fields, but I disagree that there's enough of them, because I hear from the public on a regular basis that we don't have enough fields, and I think it's a demand issue. I remember specifically speaking with staff about the need for baseball fields during baseball season, and the overlapping of softball and baseball at that particular time. And I hear from soccer the same thing. The overlap of different soccer fields being used at specific times, and the inability for those soccer teams to use those different fields at different times. How we can get everybody all together on a single thing, that's a great question. But I think that those concerns are real, and we have to hear what they have to say and do our best to work with them on that. I do want to ask about the online rentals. When you show that stuff on the online, that you can tell whether or not a field is rented. When you're going out to play a game, a pickup game, you can go online and you can see if Washington Park is available.
Right. So you can even, and sometimes our field users do that. So if they arrive to their field, they can kind of go online and see, look, is this group supposed to be here or not?
Yeah.
So that has been a nice tool.
Yeah, it certainly has. What about basketball courts?
We do, we do reserve basketball courts for our contractors.
No, so Fair Oaks and Washington Park have basketball courts that could be reserved. Washington Park has 2 basketball courts. One has to be available for the public. The other one is reservable. Same thing at Fair Oaks. We have 3 basketball courts. 2 are reservable. One needs to be open for the public. And we do get some reservations for those.
Certainly. I'm sure you do. It's a very popular sport, especially when the Warriors are playing really well, right? Is that information in here? Did I not see that or?
No, we have not typically included information. I was just writing a note down for next year if we want to look at. I don't know that the number is going to be huge, but we can include the use of basketball in there.
The only reason I bring it up is because I know we're going to be talking about basketball courts and alternate uses of basketball courts tonight. And I want to put forward I want to remind everyone that there are other people that do use those basketball courts, and we might not be tracking all of their information all the time. And I think that they're out there pretty often. I'd like to go to the field usage page. I think it's field rentals. It's sheet 14 out of 19. It looks to me like the most popular rental sport is soccer, with 9,400 people in Sunnyvale Alliance and then 5,900 people in Sunnyvale AYSO. That's a youth soccer organization. And then after that, I'm proud to say we got baseball. Little League ranks in at like close to 10,000 hours. Baseball, softball, junior giants, and the 3 Sunnyvale Little Leagues at 10,000 hours. So I'd like to push back on some public sentiment that baseball is not popular with youth. I would argue that it's actually one of the most popular sports. It's probably the second right after soccer. I want to get to commend the theater. It has been great to see more action going on over at the theater. They just recently did a presentation of Frozen, which I think was quite popular. So that was pretty cool to see. It looks like we have 52 fields that are available. Is that 52, right? That's what you said? And then 11 of those fields are lighted. So like, that's a pretty big discrepancy. 11 out of the 52, there's 42 that don't have lights and there's 11 that do. And it looked to me like the usage stats for not lighted fields were 5,314 reserved hours in 2024. I had to do the math. And then the lighted fields, the reservations were 4,000 hours. I think that's correct. But it seems to me that, am I wrong? Does that sound like a ballpark correct estimate? I went through and I added up on sheet 17 of 19 and sheet 18 of 19 and sheet 16 of 19. I added up all that data and those numbers came out to, for 2024, it came out to reserved non-lighted field use of 5,314 hours, and then field rentals for lighted use, 4,057 hours. I think that's accurate, but that sounds to me like there's a demand for lighted fields, right? If 4 times the amount of fields are unlighted and they're being used almost the exact same amount of time as the 11 fields that are currently lighted, that would show to me that there's a demand for lighted fields. Do you think that's a fair statement to say?
So I can go back and I'll run another report with those numbers. And actually what we're trying to do currently is run another report that shows kind of those peak times of all the fields being used.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
so that will kind of help analyze kind of what you're looking for. So I'm hoping we'll have that done in the next week or so, and I can turn that around back to you.
I appreciate that. What I'm getting at is there's a study issue. The study issue specifically says, more lights on fields. You explicitly said peak time is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right?
For our rentals for park buildings, that's a peak time. Like we consider that peak time for
Okay.
the buildings, but for the fields, the evening times are
Are
our peak
peak.
times, depending on
Oh.
kind of the field, the season, the sport
Okay.
of when it is. So I don't know if we have, the week, it depends on the sport really. So it depends. So I can run another report and kind of, that's what we're trying to find
Yeah.
out. There's a lot of data on fields. And so
Yeah.
we can look at what is the peak time, and it's going to vary by season.
To me, it seems like an obvious win, right? If there's lights on these fields at night, say especially during the fall, when we have very little light here in the public, right? And you feel like, wow, why is my serotonin level so low? Why am I not getting connected to my local community? It's because I'm inside and it's dark at 5:30. If we can get our public out to the city parks to utilize our city parks for camaraderie and socialization that doesn't require going to Murphy Avenue and drinking, right? I think that that's a reasonable request. I think that's good for our health. That's consistent with what the Surgeon General says about depression and isolation. I'd like to know I'm going on the right track or if I'm not going on the right track, because when I read your data, it says that we are using that correctly. I have two other questions, and I promise I'll get out of this. The one other question was, I want to read your data correctly. It says here that field use for non-lighted fields is 27% on slide 15 of 19.
Right?
And then it says field use for Fair Oaks is 72%.
Right.
I mean, I'm not gonna, to me, that sounds like Fair Oaks, which is, which has lights at night and which has field turf, clearly has an above the way advantage of threefold usage from all the other fields. Am I wrong in that?
No, I mean, it is, right? I mean, it's well utilized at nighttime by a lot of different groups, so it is a nice advantage.
Is there a correlation between field use and field turf?
I would say yes for Fair Oaks because the soccer is a high demand there.
Soccer's the number one
Yeah.
reservation group out there.
Okay.
They're out there significantly.
I personally love
And,
playing
and,
on.
and the reservations usually are like 4 to 7.
Yeah.
That's kind of the after hours evening where our prime time for our reservations. So
I mean, I personally love playing on natural grass. I really do. But the fact of the matter is, if we don't have the money to pay for upkeep, we don't have the money to pay for water, then we have to figure out a different way for an all of the above process. And what I'm hearing is that it pays to have field turf. It pays to have lights. Please correct me now if I'm wrong. Okay, that's awesome. One other quick thing. Can I get that slide up, Laura? Oh, it is. Oh, dude, this is great. So this is my back of the map. So right here, we can see that the field usage from 2019 was 6,000 hours. Field usage from 2020 was 3,300 hours. Field usage from 2021 was 3,900 hours. Can we go to the next slide?
but keep in mind, that was COVID years, and
Yes.
that really was a significant reduction
Yes,
in
ma'am.
our services.
I understand. But the following, in 2023, we saw a spike in usage of 36,000. That's a 600% increase in rental hours.
So I mentioned earlier in my presentation that some of the information that we had given last year, the numbers were slightly off. So it would be better if we could meet and I could we could realign those numbers because there is definitely an increase,
Mhm.
but it may not be quite as high as you're saying. So
Okay.
I want
I
to make
wanna
sure
be
that we're
accurate.
using the right data for
Yeah, I
that.
want to be accurate. And Veronica, I'd also like to say 2020 was the year I started this commission, so I'm pretty sure all of it's because of me, right? All that usage. Okay, anyway, I'm going to close with that. Do we have any public comments on field usage? Anybody want to talk about field usage? Okay, I'm going to close. We
We have someone online.
have someone online. Oh, excellent.
Unmesh, you're free to speak.
Hello, everybody. It just happens that 10 minutes before this meeting, I sent a request through the Sunnyvale website to suggest that we install basic workout stations, pull-up bars, dip bars, monkey bars for adults in the park in the neighborhood where I am, which is Panama Park. And then I saw this meeting notice and I jumped onto it. So I'm glad for that coincidence. I see that you guys are focusing on, obviously improving the field usage, getting it, more people out and having them enjoy the outdoors as well as, maybe try to get, in better health. All of that is great. It's one thing to track the big ticket items like rentals for the field, but there are a lot of people who use the field on a individual basis. That probably is very difficult to track. Who come out to do workouts in the park, maybe a jog, or just some yoga or, some workout out in the open in the green. So I'm just trying to say that we should not, while it's difficult to measure those, that is also an important, if not measurable, use for our parks. Certainly, lighting will help that. And back to my suggestion, I have seen these equipment along the trail in various parks in Campbell and Los Gatos, and in fact, in my home country, almost every park has it. They're very cheap, inexpensive, hardy equipment, and I'm just surprised we don't have them in almost any park here. The schools have it, but they're kid-sized, and of course, including the parallel bars are too narrow for adults to do anything. So my suggestion was we consider installing some of these just pure non-mechanical kind of equipment that are extremely low maintenance, very hardy, and they will not only help people who come out to the park to try something more than their usual jogs, but also I think encourage more people to come out who and try those things. So that's the suggestion I'm making. I do not know. I struggle to find out the right forum to make the suggestion. Somebody told me to go to Public Works, but this is a parks issue. So I sent the message to whichever agency it goes to, but I'm just repeating the same suggestion here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really do appreciate you calling in for public comment. Was there anyone else online for public comment? Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll close that part of public comments. And we'll move on to the next item, which I think is going to be a hot topic. I hope everybody's ready for 25-0535, the pickleball update. Tracy Gott will present.
Okay, so this is just really a brief overview of kind of what we currently offer in terms of pickleball and a little review of the outdoor sports assessment study that we did. So the current offerings for pickleball in Sunnyvale, as you can see, we have Lifetime Activity Center, which has 12 outdoor pickleball courts. They're reservable year-round, and there's a cost resident, non-resident rate. The community center at the Indoor Sports Center, we do offer pickleball on Mondays for a drop-in basis from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We only offer it 9 months out of the year. It is closed during summer because we do operate summer camps, and it's a $5 resident or $6 non-resident drop-in fee. As a just comparison to other cities, this slide just shows kind of the number of courts that the cities have, if they're indoor, outdoor, if they require reservations. So Sunnyvale has 6 indoor, 12 outdoor, and then you can just kind of go down the list of what other cities. And this was done a few months ago, so I'm sure pickleball seems to be increasing everywhere. So this may need to be a little bit updated, but that was the data that we used as our outdoor sports assessment study that we did. The cost of pickleball, it varies around the parks. 45% either have a membership or a drop-in fee. 30% is free drop-in, and then some of the places are starting to do a lot of class rates. 64% do require reservations. So I want to say a year and a half ago, we did start an outdoor sports assessment, and the purpose of the outdoor sports assessment was to look at kind of emerging sports and emerging trends and to find out what the community of Sunnyvale wanted. It was really, when the study session was proposed, it was around the idea and upcoming sports of like cricket, tennis, and pickleball to look at that. So we did a large survey. We got a really good response from the community. We had 2,283 responses. Pickleball was a top activity listed for expansion. With this study that we did, the outdoor sports assessment, it really only looked at the current city parks for expansion or for new courts. It didn't take into account other places outside, using private areas or other buildings for pickleball. It just looked at what we had. So at the end of the study, the proposed improvements after getting feedback from the community, the Verde was our consultant that we partnered with on this. Their recommendations were to add new dedicated pickleball courts at De Anza, add new dedicated pickleball courts at Encinal Park, add new dedicated tennis courts at Las Palmas, add new dedicated tennis courts at Ponderosa Park, add new pickleball overlay on existing basketball courts at Ortega, and add new pickleball overlay on existing basketball courts at Washington. There were some other recommendations around cricket, but I did not include them because this one is just focusing on pickleball. And it's important to note the study, we presented it to City Council as a study item on 1/28/025. So the study part is finalized. We're working with Verde to finalize the report. We're still taking some more input and kind of putting the finishing touches, and it will go back as a completed item to City Council. And this outdoor sports assessment was really just the first step. It was really looking at what is the community looking for. Before pickleball is going to be placed or before tennis is going to be placed in any other community park, we will be doing a lot more outreach to specific communities, trying to engage more groups and get more feedback about the feasibility of some of these recommendations or taking new recommendations. So this was the first step in this project, and we're looking forward to seeing where it leads us. So that was really a brief presentation on pickleball. So we'll go with questions.
Certainly. Do any of my commissioners have comments or questions for staff? The chair recognizes Commissioner Bramall.
I was surprised that you don't list Serra Park as a pickleball candidate court, because I saw one paper from the city listed that Serra Park is one of the four choice.
So I think the question is, you're surprised that we didn't list Serra Park in one of the recommendations?
Yes.
Yeah, so Verde, when we put together the recommendations, is really based off of the survey results that we received from the public and community and all the meetings we had. And there were, during this study, some very strong feelings from the community about overlaying tennis courts with pickleball. So that was not one of the recommendations of this study. So that's why you don't see Serra Park listed.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Mason.
Just in terms of the different recommendations that were made for where pickleball should be, is it ranked?
It is ranked. So kind of really Verde, when we developed the recommendations, they went off of the study and the preferences. So the rankings kind of go in order of how they are. And I was going to pull it up on my computer, but my computer died. So we can link the final report. When it's done, we'll share the final outdoor assessment support, and you'll see the rankings that people had.
So what's written in the PDF right now, that's just, there's no rank to that. There's no specific order. When it says De Anza Park, Ensenada, then Las Palmas, so on and so forth, that's not the actual rank. It's just, that's just the way it was typed.
It's ranked, right? So I'd have to look at my final report, but it's ranked as like, if we said De Anza, it was the top choice for overlay, but ranked second. So I can share those specific parts of the slide with you to give you that information. I don't have the exact ranking.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Do you have any other comments? The chair recognizes Commissioner Geary.
Thank you. So are we trying to use any, make it simplified, simplify the reservation? Sometimes, sorry.
So you're talking about simplifying the reservation for
Pickleball.
pickleball?
Yeah.
For Lifetime Activity Center, they have their
No,
own
no, all these
reservation
parks,
process.
I mean, if people need to, I mean, like, it could be as simple as maybe scanning barcodes. I mean, it can be simplified than what we have today, I mean, as in terms of reservation.
I think there's always room for improvement on how we do reservations. But I think the first step would probably be identifying what
Yeah.
place and what park or what asset's going to be used for pickleball. And then actually, so the recommendations will go back to the question about ranking. Number 1 and 2, the dedicated pickleball courts at De Anza was the first ranking, and dedicated pickleball courts at Ensenada was the second ranked item.
You have a follow-up, Commissioner?
No, so the reason I was asking about the reservation was your slide 3 talks about requiring reservations. I mean, so I think it'll be good to have some kind of make it simplify the reservation process for pickleball. can look into options for that. Thank you.
I've got a few small comments. I wanted to start with saying that in the outdoor sports assessment, the proposed improvements and the next steps, I think it's important to remember that this commission unanimously voted to support this study, the results of the study, with two exceptions. Number one, the first exception being that we would seek to install dedicated, I think it was dedicated tennis ball courts and pickleball courts at Las Palmas Park. We explicitly call for that, and that was unanimously voted by all of us as an addendum to the report. And we also unanimously voted as an addendum to the report that we would not overstripe pickleball courts on top of basketball courts. I also remember recalling that study DPW 2506. Oh, first off, this was a great report. Thank you. I really do appreciate your work on this. And I'm really appreciative of having so many people from the public here to talk about this. And we're going to hear from you in just a minute. But I would also like to point out that, this study does look at our existing lots, the existing parks that we have. But there is a study issue that's out for DPW 2506, which is the reassessment of city-owned land that is underutilized and what we can do with that. And I think when we find that we don't have enough real estate in the parks to dedicate to other sports, there's other places we can go. And I can think of numerous parking lots in the downtown area that are not used whatsoever, specifically the Caltran ones, specifically the places underneath the underpass at Matilda Park, specifically the parking lots that are at De Anza Park. Who the heck parks there? There's no reason why those areas cannot be reused with this thought in mind. I think that having things like that considered is a very valuable asset. To take stock of the assets we do own and find new ways to use them is a very valuable thing, and I support that. Does anybody else have any comments, or are we going to open up to the public?
I agree. Restriping will only make it difficult with respect to reservations now. Basketball drop-ins would reduce. So I think it'd be good to have dedicated places. Identify those new places where we can have pickleball courts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree too. I think there's already enough conflict. I think we need to seek to de-escalate and find where the common ground is. And seeing as how, we have these basketball courts that are used often, but we don't seem to have enough data on when they're used or when they're reserved, or how those drop-ins work. I would hate to see people who are underrepresented in this study find out that their courts are being taken away from them. All right, so with that, unless there's other comments.
And I just want to go back and remind
Yes, ma'am.
the commission that this is recommendations. And so this doesn't mean that these actions are going to be final. So
Yeah,
before
ma'am.
anything is ever decided,
Yes, ma'am.
we'll go back and reach out.
Yes, ma'am. Nothing's happening overnight. It's a long, slow grind. But that's the reason why it gets done right. Okay, so with that, we're going to open this up to public comment. We are going to hear public comments for anyone who wants to talk about the pickleball update 25005-35. I have some speaker cards here. If you want to speak, then I'll call your name. You're going to have 3 minutes apiece. If for some reason you missed this, there's also oral communications later. We can talk about that then. But to start, I have a speaker card here for Amelia Dana. Amelia Dana? I'm sorry, am I pronouncing your name right? Okay, Amelia, so good to meet you. You have 3 minutes. If you can press the mic, little speaker button.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening. My name is Emily Danar. I have been a Sunnyvale resident for the past 13 years, and I play pickleball with my family. You may remember me from the long emails I have sent you in the past couple of months. So today I want to share with you input from the pickleball community in Sunnyvale. I do so on the behalf of several players who are present here tonight, and also on behalf of more than 500 local pickleball players who have signed a petition in support of expanding free pickleball access in the city by converting tennis courts. If we could go to the next slide, thank you. Pickleball, as you know, is the fastest growing sport in the country and the number 3 sport by participation, just after running and cycling. As city staff just presented, it is the number 1 sport that Sunnyvale residents want more of. Yet there are 0 free pickleball courts in Sunnyvale. There are paid courts at the Sunnyvale Tennis Center, but there is so much demand for them that it is very hard to book them, even if you can afford it. The wall of red here on the slide shows a typical schedule on weekday night, where all the courts are booked from 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. If we could go to the next slide. Almost every other neighboring city has free drop-in outdoor pickleball courts. You may notice that the numbers here are slightly different from the numbers that Tracy presented, because here I am focusing on the courts that are outside, that don't require a fee or a reservation, because this is what most players want. So how did all those cities, Cupertino, Palo Alto, Los Santos, Mountain View, Milpitas, Porto La Valley, and so on, I didn't put more because I had limited space on the slide, how did they provide so many courts? They face the same challenges that you are very familiar with. They have a finite number of parks, they have limited budget and staff, and residents that want to use this open space for a million different things. You are very familiar with people who want to walk their dog, enjoy nature, play soccer, tennis, frisbee, pickleball, etc. So what is the secret? How did they do it? It is very simple. They converted tennis courts to pickleball. Every court that is on the slide here used to be a tennis court and is now a pickleball court. So let's go to the next slide, please. Let's look in the future. Let's map the recommendations that Tracy just presented from the outdoor sport assessment onto the timeline for each park renovation in the city budget, which is 2027 to 2030 for the Anza Park and 2030 to 2033 for Encino Park. So you can see on this timeline, in the best case scenario, if everything goes according to plan, which we know does not, it means that there won't be any additional pickleball facilities in Sunnyvale until 2030. So in the same breath, we are saying pickleball is the number 1 need expressed by residents, and it won't be addressed for the next 5 years. I think we should do better, and we can do better.
Emily, your 3 minutes is up.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you.
I'm not done. I have a couple more speakers who will donate their time to me.
I'm sorry, but it is not permissible to have other people donate their time to you. Right?
Oh.
Yes, it would mean you would end up getting like a 20-minute lot for the entire time. So unfortunately, if there's other people who want to take their slot, specifically Shelley McLerney. No, ma'am. No, that is not correct. If you want to take over the slides and continue presenting, you may. That's what I would recommend doing. I know it might be a little scary, but please take a second and continue the slides. Thank you, Mr. Councilman Srivasan. Yeah, it would not work. Are you Shelley McLearning? Oh, you're Constance, the second person. So Shelley, are you? Okay, all right, no worries. That's okay. I understand. We can talk about this later if you'd like. So we recognize Constance Chen. Constance Chen,
Thank you.
you have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm just going to continue.
Yes, ma'am.
So the question is how? Simply by following the same playbook as other neighboring cities have successfully done. Let's convert 2 tennis courts to pickleball, and we would be able to start playing next year. This is popular. 565 local players have signed a petition in support of such conversions in Sunnyvale. It's fast. From our discussions with the city manager last week, who was very supportive, this can be done in less than a year, including budget approval, community outreach, and actual work to stripe pickleball lines. This is cheap, only $15,000 for striping and buying nets, up to $100,000 if you want to resurface the courts completely, which is not necessary to start. This is 10 to 100 times cheaper than building courts from scratch. 2 tennis courts will yield 6 to 8 courts, which is enough to build a community. We can start by sharing time between tennis and pickleball. For example, Monday tennis, Tuesday pickleball, Wednesday tennis, Thursday pickleball, etc., to eventually transition to 7 days a week pickleball. Again, such a strategy has been successfully employed by neighboring cities to produce a smooth and organic transition from tennis to pickleball. This is better than converting basketball courts, which was briefly recommended but not endorsed by this commission. This is not just a theoretical proposal. We have researched many locations in Sunnyvale, and we recommend Sarah Park. The 2 courts further away from Hollenbeck Avenue could be used for pickleball, while the other 2 courts would remain for tennis. There are 21 additional courts within 3 miles that can absorb the displaced tennis usage. Sarah Park is particularly suited for pickleball as it is far from housing and has off-street parking. Okay, that was it. Thank you for your consideration. Let's expand together free pickleball access in Sunnyvale without delay.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Constance. It's
I was
very good
reading
to
as
have you
fast
here.
as I could.
Thank you for stepping up to that. I do appreciate your service. The next person speaking is Andy Scholl. Hey, Andy, thank you so much for coming out here tonight. We look forward to hearing from you.
So I'll first introduce myself, Andy Scholl, 26-year resident of Sunnyvale, proud resident, grateful resident to live in this beautiful city, raised 2 kids here, very athletic and outdoorsy. So all of the leagues you showed there, I think I checked about 5 of them off. I didn't recognize Sarah Little League because I guess it's merged at this point. But so yeah, have always really benefited from the outdoor accessibility of the healthy lifestyle we live here. And I am a convert to pickleball. Addict would be another way of putting it. I'd just like to do a quick round. How many people have played pickleball? I know there's a bunch over here. Okay, good. Well, there's a couple of reasons why I'm a big advocate of pickleball. One is the accessibility. The people we have, I currently been playing over at Las Palmas at the tennis center. It does get crowded. You got to pay. So I've kind of migrated to Memorial in Cupertino, where I go quite regularly, 5 to 6 days a week. It's very accessible, all ages. I see, some people bring their 5 and 6-year-olds. I'm playing with people in their 70s and 80s who can sometimes, kick our butts. It's tremendously accessible. People come in it from ping pong, from tennis, from badminton, from racquetball. So it's a very, it's a very friendly sport to get started on. The other thing is the density, and this relates to the point around converting tennis courts. If you have 8 courts on 2 tennis courts, generally tennis is, there are doubles, but I'd say primarily you see 2 people on a tennis court. Here you have 4. Virtually 99% of the games going on at Memorial are 4 people on the court at the same time. So you've just multiplied, you've just by a factor of 8 actually what you're able to accommodate. So 2 courts would have 32 people, and they're shuttling in and out. So you have people waiting, congregating, but also socializing, and they're constantly cycling and getting a good exercise as well as the social aspect. So I think it's that's a big thing, is seeing these same people starting to run into them at Trader Joe's on the, riding their bikes, and it just creates a tremendous sense of community. So that's what I wanted to add. So we hope we can do it more sooner than later, because the benefits are, tremendous.
Certainly. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you coming out and speaking to us, Andy.
Sure.
If you don't mind, if we can hold our applause for the any consideration for anyone else who might be here who disagrees with your viewpoint. It's a big deal. It really does matter, and I really do appreciate that. So the next speaker we have is Premon thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You're with the Planning Commission?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
Did I
okay.
check the wrong box?
No, it says here you're with the Planning Commission. So I think
I don't know why
that
it
might be
says that.
incorrect. Okay, so it's good to have you here, sir. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yep, thank you. I'm actually a little bit upset today. I'm upset with Emily. I'm upset with you all. And the reason is you're taking away my prime pickleball playing time today. I would have been at Memorial Park, but I'm having to come here and speak to you all. So, you better do something about that, right? So been living in Sunnyvale for about 20 years now. Moved to the Ortega Park area because I used to play volleyball at Ortega Park. So that was a lot of fun. So we decided to buy a house there, and we have two kids now, 10 and 14, and lived there in that area for about 20 years. So started playing pickleball at Memorial Park about a year ago. And I'm hooked, like, I think, I forget your name, but like you said, right? So I go almost every day or every other day. And why? Because it's a community sport, right? So it's a community sport. It's a pickup sport. So you don't need to find a partner. You don't need to say, hey, will you come and play with me? You don't need fancy clothes. You don't need fancy shoes. I see a lot of players actually playing really well, but playing in their floaters, right? So you don't even need shoes for the most part. So people end up there playing really well, having a lot of fun and enjoying themselves. It's for all ages. My son, like I said, he's 10 years old. He refuses to play any other sport. But if you say pickleball, he'll actually budge off the couch and actually come and play. So he does that. My 14-year-old middle schooler, she bugs me every day when I'm going to play pickleball. She's like, can I come with you? I'm like, no, I need to sneak out of here, just play by myself. I need my time, my me time. So I go sneak off and try to play. And then my wife, she's like, can I go with you? I'm like, can't a guy go play pickleball by himself without like everybody piling on? So I think that's kind of what makes this so much fun, right? So it's a sport for all ages. Everybody gets together, we hang out, we play, and we go home feeling good about ourselves, and getting some exercise as part of it. And that's why, but as a family, we do end up playing together over the weekends because I do want to keep the marriage and the family intact. So I do take them and say, okay, let's all play. So we do that. So that's why I'm here to advocate for pickleball for free in Sunnyvale. So we need free courts, we need courts, we need more courts. So let's do something about that. And let's make sure that we get those courts for pickleball players as well as residents as soon as we can, right? So I heard about this being sort of a multi-year journey. I heard you say that it's a slow planning process. I know I'm thinking about retiring at some point, but I don't want to be retired when I play it in Sunnyvale on courts in Sunnyvale. So hopefully it'll be sooner than that. And like Emily was saying, maybe we can do something next year about getting a few courts going and giving us a few options to come out and play with the family, with strangers, with all of you, and maybe with all of you as well, right? So I'd love to see some of you at Memorial Park, maybe doing a pickup challenge with us and, learning a few moves like I have over the last year. So that's I think all I had to say. So go pickleball and let's make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. It's good to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
The next person I have speaking is a duo of Audrey and Natalie. Thank you so much for coming out here today. Please go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Hello everyone. My name is Natalie Kwan. I'm 14 years old, and this is my sister, Audrey Kwan. She is 16 years old. We go to Fremont High School, and we've both been playing pickleball for like about a year and a half now. We love playing pickleball for several reasons. For one, we have met so many friendly people in the community and we would never known. And we love potlucks. People bring really good food. We also played in several tournaments and loved the competition. We have been encouraging our friends to try this fast-growing sport, as well as advocating at our school to get lines painted. As the sport's popularity has grown, the lack of free courts has quickly become a problem. With school taking up most of our time during the weekdays and events filling up weekend afternoons, weekend mornings is the only time we have for pickleball. If we get to the pickleball courts at 8 a.m., the paddle racks are already full of eager pickleballers waiting for a game. We can no longer pick up a quick game because if we wanted to play, we would have to pay and reserve a court ahead of time, pay $45 for a day pass at the Hub in Campbell, or wait 30 minutes to play just one game in Cupertino. The only reliable way we have found to get in multiple games is if we wake up at 6:30 a.m. on the weekend, which is a tremendous sacrifice as teenagers. Your current plan is a great one and hope it can be applied to the city of Sunnyvale soon. Although I'm graduating in a year and her in 3 years, if we could, we would like to find a solution that would be able to be implemented sooner. One solution would be to paint lines over tennis courts and parks such as Sarah Park. This would provide a quick fix to our problem. Creating more pickleball courts in Sunnyvale would reduce wait times and help more people discover and enjoy playing pickleball as much as we have. Thank you for listening, and we hope you take this into consideration.
Thank you so much for coming out, Audrey and Natalie. I really do appreciate your speaking with us. The next person we have lined up is Dong Sherry. Dong Sherry? Do we have a Dong Sherry? Oh, there we go, sir.
Yeah, my name's Dong. So first, thank you the community listen, the residents' voice, and put this pickleball issue on the agenda. I really appreciate. So I've been in Sunnyvale 15 years, and I started playing pickleball about 2 years ago. So normally, for my personal experience, because in our age, we play pickleball, we play double. So normally you had to find 4 people to play together. So normally, if I have the free drop-in court, after work, I just pick my paddle, go to the free drop-in court, follow my underbody, I put my paddle on the side of the court, join the waiting list, we can start playing. But for the reservation court, you have to coordinate with all 4 people to pick up the time to go there. And it's kind of difficult to use it. So I was a little bit surprised to know that Sunnyvale has most pickleball in the compared to all the city, but also pretty sad to know we have 0 free drop-in court compared to all other city. So I have the question to ask the park recreation community. So what is the utilization of those reserved pickleball court? Are they fully 100% utilized or not? Because so far in other city that free drop-in court is very convenient for people to come in to play anytime and pick up anybody, you know it, and very easy to play. But for the reserve court, I have hesitated to go there because I don't know the people already reserved the time. If I come in, even have somebody come with me try to play, and the time has been reserved by other people. So that's prevent me to go to the Sunnyvale court to play. So my question is, can we get some report? So what is the utilization of Sunnyvale reserved pickleball court? If it's underutilized, can we just free 50%? Or if they use 60%, then can we free 40% of the court for the free drop-in? So in this case, we encourage people go in there to play the right way. In this case, right, the city can immediately address the resident need. We don't have any free drop-in court in Sunnyvale. In this case, I try to really appreciate the community to write some report to see what is the decision rate. Then, for example, we have 16 indoor, we have 12 outdoor, maybe we can free about maybe 6 outdoor for free drop-in. So in this case, when we have this wonderful plan, as the next 5 years, could dedicate the pickleball court. On the same time, we can go into according to this plan, but on the same time, we can free up some free drop-in court to serve the resident need immediately without any cost. So that's kind of my suggestion for that. I think thanks for consideration.
Thank you so much, Dong. I really do appreciate you coming out to speak with us. Thank you, sir. The next speaker we have is Ed Prentice. Thank you so much, Ed. I appreciate you coming out to speak to us, sir.
Yes, my name is Ed Prentice. I live in Sunnyvale on the far east side. Baylands is probably the park that I personally enjoy the most. I do play pickleball ever since COVID happened. I was a racquetball player, and I now have some very dusty racket. If anyone would like some racquetball rackets, I've got some very dusty ones. I play Mondays at the indoor center, and the reason I pay, I believe it's $6, not $5. The reason I go there every week is to keep it open. It's not a great place for playing pickleball. I can be honest about that. But when it rains, it's vital. And so my wife and I pay there to go every week to keep that facility open, keep the badminton people at a little distance. At least on Monday, we do have a place to play pickleball. I play mostly at Cupertino. I am a huge advocate at Cupertino. And it's a case, all the things I've learned about pickleball are embodied in what we do over at Cupertino. Pickleball is not little tennis. Pickleball is not a fad, and pickleball is not a reservation sport. It's a very bad reservation sport. I play 0 at Lifetime in tennis. I have, the tennis center here. I have no use for that place whatsoever because I drive all the way from the far end of Sunnyvale all the way over to Cupertino to play pickleball regularly. Now, I'm a big advocate of the one person, one paddle system that we have in place there. And so it's a very incredible community that is built. It's an incredible community, and we should have that here in Sunnyvale. And it's a great mixing place. I have so many friends here, and that's where you meet them. And the ability to come with one, have a system that works so anyone can walk up and find a place to play. That is the magic of pickleball. And Shelley, who didn't want to talk, will tell you it's also the magic of a lot of food. That's a fringe benefit to pickleball. But the important thing is it's a social activity. It's incredible. I think I spoke at Cupertino. I did speak before the city of Cupertino. I played racquetball for like 20 years, and I have like one friend. I played pickleball for a couple months, and I have 100 friends. That's such a different experience. You can't, every community needs to support pickleball. I think that's my real message for you.
Thank you so much for coming out, Ed. I really do appreciate you joining us tonight. The next speaker I have is Henry Song. Thanks for coming out here tonight, Henry.
Good evening, commissioners. And just to respond to Ed, you know, if after playing racquetball for 15 years and you're down to one friend, the solution is you have to let them win once in a while. You can't beat them all the time. So previously, I've appeared before this commission body last December and spoke on the further development of pickleball. And to look for further court development here in Sunnyvale based on the studies done by Verde. And I've reiterated, and I will reiterate again tonight, some of the concerns that I expressed in that meeting. Namely, that is to balance the interests of your city residents and the local tennis players who don't necessarily play organized tennis, but they love to go out there and play casually. And they want the time to be able to explore just as much as pickleball players do. And these are some of the concerns that I want to remind you. One is that of the noise, that's proximity to houses. As you know, that generally industry practices have accepted that 500 to 600 feet is the bare minimum requirement from a pickleball court to houses. And the slide that you saw before, you ask for development of pickleball courts at Sarah Park that's less than 200 feet away, and that's simply unconscionable. As you know, or may not know, that to fall asleep at night, you can't go above 30 decibels, or that any kind of long-term exposure to any type of noise can create long-term health problems down the road. And you have city residents who may or may not be homeowners, but they need their night's sleep so they can function the next day at work. And then to say that tennis players are utilizing those courts is a myth, just as much as they say that pickleball is a 24-hour sport that is completely nonstop. And that's just simply not true, because there are times, days where they stop playing. They like to play first thing in the morning and like to play late in the night. And just as much as tennis players do, and their schedules and their routines, they nearly mirror in each other. So to create this myth that tennis players aren't playing enough when tennis is a top 5 global sport is simply false. The second point I would reiterate is that sharing and inlays and building inlay lines rarely work, because as their own presentation told you, that eventually they want to push tennis players out of Sarah Park, and that's simply unacceptable. If the whole point of sharing is that everybody can take turns to use the same facility, then you can't go for the long game and push people out just because you don't want them there. That's exclusionary, that's discriminatory, and most important of all, that's unconscionable. So to be fair to everybody and their recreational priorities, you have to look to what's best for everybody without robbing Peter to pay Paul, and that everybody essentially will get an equal chance at enjoying public facilities here in Sunnyvale. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out, Henry. It's good to hear from you, sir. That was the last speaker card I have. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? Anyone online?
Yes, we have someone online.
Okay.
Susan, you're free to speak.
Okay, I need to unmute. Oh, hi. I'm Susan Bremond. I am a pickleball player that I've been playing at Lifetime. But the issues with Lifetime is that usually you're going to have to do reservations. Another thing that I have noticed over the years that I've played there is there aren't very many families that go there. For whatever reason, I'm not sure. It could be that they would prefer to have it at their local parks, which would make sense to me. I also really would like to say that having free parks or free pickleball courts makes absolutely sense. Recreation is been supporting tennis for years. There's no reason to not support the fastest growing sport. I would also like to comment about the usage of tennis courts because I live across the street from Sarah Park. And I can tell you, because I go over there and walk in the morning, those tennis courts are not fully utilized. And if you actually did change Sarah Park or some of the other parks to pickleball courts, you would get more utilization. So I think it's a myth that they're all being used all the time because I'm seeing differently. But I would really particularly like to focus on this idea of quickly adding pickleball courts. There's a couple reasons for that. One, waiting 4 or 5 years for the pickleball courts don't make sense because the interest is growing, growing, growing. So there's going to be more of a gap in the need. Secondly, this is an opportunity to beta test pickleball, free pickleball, learning about how it is to have it at a park. You're not going to get that information by waiting for 5 years and then putting them in. Put them in now. Find out how people are using them. Find out about how the neighbors are maybe feeling like they're dealing with it. You could possibly even say no pickleball after certain hours. There is a way of dealing with that. So, you know, the issue of the noise level, for example, I think that is not something that it should be something that would stop the courts from going in. So I highly, highly recommend that Sunnyvale get with putting in the courts on a trial basis, get the learnings from that, start satisfying all of these residents that really would like to be able to play pickleball free in the Sunnyvale parks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling in. We do appreciate your comments. Do we have anyone else that's speaking? If you'd like to speak, is there anyone online that's queued to speak
Not at
next?
this time.
Okay, excellent. So normally you would fill out a speaker card. We'll make an audible here and we'll have a direct to the podium. The next speaker is going to be Sunika. Please have your comments in regards to the pickleball update. Yes. Oh, yeah,
I think I just turned it off. Okay. I hadn't intended to speak and we're actually here just for a totally different purpose, trying to expose my son for Boy Scouts to how the city works. So this sounds like we came to a really interesting topic here today. Yes. I just wanted to, I love the idea of more pickleball in Sunnyvale, so completely supportive of that. And connecting dots to the study that was presented earlier, I'm just observing the conversation. And with that, I think it would be interesting and helpful as you're considering this to understand how parking situations. So one of the observations on the earlier study that I had was, parking impacts utilization of all the services, the buildings, and are we measuring the parking utilization availability in all of our different parks and rec facilities? That I think will also impact if we do put in pickleball courts, how much they're utilized, right? And where we consider putting them. So I think that's something to measure. And today it sounds like we're hearing a lot about tennis, basketball, pickleball, and those weren't sports we saw in the study as with data that we have historically. So if there is a way to pilot measuring utilization of the outdoor courts, we live right by Washington. Those outdoor courts are not reserved. The basketball courts, they are highly utilized. So if there is a way to have some pilot data on those 3 sports to help make these decisions, I think that would be that would help. And pickleball, I think, is indoor and outdoor. So the question around Raynor Park, for example, or underutilized indoor facilities, is there an opportunity there as well, in addition to the outdoor proposals, to look at how we might drive up utilization of some of those underutilized spots? And I totally support a pilot in some way to try to beta test indoor, outdoor locations, and gather some of this data, right, to come up with what that final proposal could be.
Thank you so much for deciding to speak for us. That's very kind of you to do that. Thank you for coming out. Do we have any other speakers on this item?
Not at this time.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to close public comment on this item. And we're going to move on to 25-0528, which is the purview of study issue budget process, and 25-05. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to read one quick thing because we have a lot of people here. Anybody who's interested in this process of the board of being involved with the commissions, we currently are having a drive. There's a board and commissions application deadline. So the board and commission recruitment is underway for the following openings: the Arts Commission, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission, the Board of Library Trustees, the Heritage Preservation Commission, the Housing and Human Services Commission, the Human Relations Commission, the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Personnel Board, the Planning Commission, the Sustainability Commission. These are all commissions you can become involved with to assist in how we run the city. It really is the kind of thing where if you show up and you work it, it works. The application is due by 4 p.m. on Thursday, April 24th, in order to schedule an interview with the council on Monday, May 12th, or Tuesday, May 13th. So that's Thursday, April 21st to get your application in. You can call the city clerk at 408-730-7483 to request an application. You can also speak, I think, to someone over here. Laura would probably be happy to help you out too at the end of this meeting. So I encourage you to do that. So with that, we're going to move on to 25-0528, the PRC purview and study issue budget process for 25-0534, the study issues update. Jesus Regoza will present.
Thank you very much. Jesus Regoza, Recreation Superintendent. My presentation is probably not going to come with as much fanfare. And
you never know.
Yeah. So this is just something that was on the work plan that commission asked for us to come back to give this presentation, which is more talking about the commission's purview, and then also the study and budget session, the budget proposal process, and what your guys' fit is in that. And then also towards the end, we'll also talk about the workshop that happened in February with the council when they looked at all of the study issues and ranked them and budget proposals as well. Okay. All right. So this first one here is just more policy statement. So for boards and commissions, they are created by the City Council for the following. First, to recommend to City Council specific policy-related issues for possible council study and action, and to provide a forum, an opportunity for the community to participate in identification and prioritization of those issues. We saw a very good example of that today. To advise City Council on specific policy issues, Council has chosen to study and to provide a forum and opportunity for board community input on those issues. And then for B under that statement, boards and commissions shall not involve themselves in administration or operation matters or the implementation of council policy except as requested by the city manager or their designated staff. General duties for boards and commission by bylaw. The first one is work plans. Each board and commission will create a work plan, which is a 12 calendar month to talk about policy issues for the board and commission. We'll be acting on over the year. So we usually do that in about October, November, where we start working on that work plan for the following year. Study issue process. We advise council regarding the identification of policy issues to study, and also advise council on those issues council has decided to study. For budgets, we advise council regarding the identification of budget proposals, provide council a recommendation regarding budget for content under the purview of their board or commission. And then finally, operational issues upon request by staff boards and commission may serve as advisory boards to staff regarding operational issues. Continuing on with some now specific duties. First is to study, evaluate, and recommend to the city council policies relating to park and recreation activities. The second is to review master plan for park development or expansion for adequacy, appearance, and other appropriate criteria in an attempt to ensure good design and make recommendations to the city council. Third, review and make recommendations regarding agreements with parks and recreation related outside groups and recommended funding allocations. And finally, study, evaluate, and recommend to the city policies relating to human rights and human relations issues that may arise when addressing issues such as inclusion in the city parks and recreation facilities, program accessibility, and cultural diversity. This next slide is just an example of our work plan. So again, we will go through this exercise later on in the fall, and we will determine what 2026 will look like for this commission. Next is to talk about the study and budget issue proposal process. So for the study issue, this is a topic of concern that may result in a new policy or revised city policy. These study issues, we get them, we take a look at them, and we decide whether or not we want to drop them, defer them, or rank them. And also there is a link on this presentation that anybody can click, and then they can actually read the policy as written. For budget proposals, a proposal can be made to add a new city service or eliminate a current service or change the level of any existing services that we may have. And again, these proposals are reviewed and then look to be dropped, deferred, or referred. And when it comes to who can make study issues or budget proposals, really anyone can. It can be the members of the public, it can be board and commission, it can be city staff, it can be city council. So really either of these can come from anybody. When are these due? That'll be if we want to be able to be in the February workshop that happens each year for council, we need to make sure that we get it in by October. If we get it in by October, then it will be reviewed in their workshop. So just keep that in mind. It can't be given any time, but just if we want it reviewed, we have to get it in by that October date. This next slide shows what is the timeline for our study issues. And really what this highlights, you can definitely, you can read what's in each month. I won't do that for purposes of this presentation. But really what we're looking to do with this timeline is to provide a method for identifying and prioritizing and also analyzing policy issues that are important to the community. We try to make sure that we stick to this timeline to allow staff to balance the work required to thoroughly study a study issue that might come out. And as I said before, we must get them in by the end of October so that they can get in for the February workshop. Also important to take into consideration is that any board members or commissioners who do fill out a study issue or budget proposal, we need to make sure that it's within that commissioner board's purview. So whatever is listed in Parks and Recreation, that's what we can submit for study issues. The next couple slides will just give you quick examples of what the forms look like. These forms can be found online, I believe. Yes. So anybody again can fill out either the study proposal or the budget proposal. A study issue, study issue and the budget proposal. With that, that's pretty much the overview of the PRC purview and the study issue and budget process. Now we'll go into taking a look at the study issue updates citywide. So if you did not have a chance to watch our workshop that occurred in February, this is going to pretty much sum up what exactly occurred. So as you can see, for the city manager's office, sorry, one second. We're going to go pretty much by department and what happened to each study issue. So for OCM 2501, you'll see that they ranked that number 1 and they decided to drop OCM 2401. When we look at community development, they had 2 issues that were pushed forward that were ranked 1 and 2. and the majority of the four of the other study issues were deferred and 2 were dropped. For public safety, of the 3 study issues, 2 were ranked and 1 was dropped. And for public works, all were dropped. For public works, they have a lot, as you can see here. So 4 were deferred and 5 were dropped. 3 were ranked by council. For environmental services, 1 was ranked, 1 was deferred, 2 were dropped. For library and recreation services, the one that was before council for review was dropped. For information technology, the one that they had in front of council was ranked. There we go. Oops. I think it skipped. Did it skip a slide? No. Okay. And then the last slide we have to show the update for budget proposals. We'll show you what council decided to do. So for the first one, clearing the sidewalk maintenance backlog, that was deferred. The other 4, implementing Homestead Road full-time bike lanes, safe parking program, funding sweeping and maintenance, and redesign of the Sunnyvale website were all referred. And that is the end of the presentation.
Excellent. Do we have any questions or comments from the commission about this item? I've got one. It's going to be topical. Mr. Raygoza, let's say someone from the public wanted to build more pickleball courts, right? Or restripe a pickleball court. Would it be faster to ask for a study issue to be done, or would it be faster to ask for a budget proposal to be done? Or even the existing study issue that we have for outdoor assessment, I think that calls into Las Palmas Park, which I think is just the next park being updated, right? And I think our study specifically said, our commission said we should be looking at Las Palmas for outdoor lights. We should be looking at Las Palmas for cricket pitch. We should be looking at Las Palmas for pickleball courts. We specifically said that. Which one of those processes would be the fastest process to attach onto? Study issues, the budget proposal, or pushing for Las Palmas to include pickleball courts?
I would think you could go many ways. Definitely the study issue process does take a while. However, it's very focused. So if you want to try and ask for more pickleball courts wherever they are, that's one way to go. I will say though, because we have the study issue already in play, the outdoor sports assessment, and it was ranked so highly and pickleball was, at the forefront of it. It's something that's on staff's mind to try and push forward.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think even trying a budget supplement, because a budget supplement is still going to require some outreach and trying to figure out where to put it. It's not the right way to go. I would say the sports assessment really did speak volumes to staff and to the city council, as it did to the Parks and Rec Commission. So that's really already moving forward and trying to identify some money to put in the budget for next year, and then look at outreach to determine, does that community want that pickleball court in their, next to their house?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you, Jim?
If I could, I'll throw another option out. I was going to mention this later, but since everyone's here, I'd like to mention it now. So you mentioned Las Palmas Park is up for a major renovation. So we have the first community outreach meeting for that is going to be next week. So Thursday, April 17th, this is on the city webpage. Thursday, April 17th from 6 to 7, there's going to be a virtual meeting to collect input from the community for what they would like to see that renovation look like. So there's like Michelle had said, there's a lot of ways to get things that people want in the city. The study issue process doesn't really get you anything but information, right? No decision is made at the end of a study issue. It's just, here's the information you had looked for. Budget proposal can be a quick way. But kind of the pure way to do it would be as part of a park renovation plan. Because as you noted, we do want to get the input from the whole community. We want to get it from the people that live there, that's their home. They want to get their feedback on what they want. Las Palmas is a big park, so it has room. But I would say another avenue and something that's coming up quickly is next Thursday, and go to the city webpage and you can find the links there, is participate in that. Show up and voice what you would like to see in the park. So, and I was going to mention commissioners, I highly encourage commissioners to participate in these meetings as well, because it's your opportunity not only to participate as a resident, but also hear what your constituents are saying and how the renovation is being done, so to speak. So that would be another option. And this is how I think the city likes to do things when it comes to park renovations, because it affects the entire city. So it's a robust public outreach process where there'll be online surveys, they'll ask for comments, they'll aggregate that information, then that data will be presented to city council. Ultimately, as I think we know, or if you don't, city council makes the decision on what we build in the parks. It's not the park and rec, it's not me, it's not the commission, it's city council. So the quickest way to get things done, whether it's, and we get these requests a lot, whether it's pickleball, it's frisbee golf, we've had ice skating in the past, right? We've had a lot of these things. And they're all valid, right? They all really are. But the decision's ultimately made by city council. So another avenue, I would encourage you to reach out to your district council member and share your thoughts with them as well. But since everyone, y'all are here, I wanted to let you know there is a public meeting about Las Palmas and the renovation of that park next Thursday.
So just correct me if what I'm hearing you say is that a study issue is a time-intensive, labor-intensive process to get information, and it takes a few years to do. A year for to be on the books, to be discussed, and then a year for the study issue to occur, and then there's the processing of all that information, right? A budget proposal is a faster way to get things done because it immediately appropriates money from the budget for that particular item.
Well, the budget proposal follows the same path. When the study issue proposal and the budget proposal all go in the same machine, and they all get then talked about in that workshop in February.
Yeah. But the budget proposal's end output is, we're going to do this. Here's a check. This is where we're going to do it.
Well, yes, yeah. Well, I
Okay.
mean,
Cool. Whereas the study issue,
Yeah,
it's like, hey,
the-
this is the data. Now what do we want to do?
It's still part of the budget cycle, though. So
Yes,
even
ma'am.
though a decision is made perhaps in February, it still has to go to budget in June.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And the most immediate process is taking the study issue that we've compiled, the data that we have compiled, and marry it to the park that's about to be developed. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. Any other questions? I mean, you know which one my favorites are. It's the late night lights, and it's reevaluating land use. Hopefully we can get that over the line next time. I think that's it. Is there any public comment on this particular item? Okay, I'm going to close public comment on that. And we're going to move on to oral communications. This is now the public's opportunity to address the commission on topics not listed on tonight's agenda and presentation items. This section is limited to 15 minutes and may be extended or continued after the public hearing or general business section of the meeting. Individuals may only speak once during oral communications. This Parks and Recs Commission meeting is a limited public forum, and the commission can regulate the time, place, and manner of speech. Speaker comments during oral communications must be limited to matters within the commission's authority, also known as the subject matter of jurisdiction. If a speaker's comment is outside the commission's subject matter of jurisdiction, the presiding officer will rule the speaker out of order. This allows the commission to conduct its business in a reasonably efficient manner and protects the rights of other speakers. The speaker will not be ruled out of order because of a disagreement with the content of the speaker's speech. Please submit a speaker card to the recording officer, or raise your digital hand now, or dial *9 on the telephone to indicate you wish to speak. I will call on members in the public first and then remote participants. Speakers will have 3 minutes. Do we have anyone in the public who would like to speak for oral communications?
Not at this time.
Do we have anyone online who would like to discuss?
Not at this time.
No? No? Okay. So I will go ahead and I will close oral communications. we will move on to the consent calendar. I will go ahead and open public comment on the consent calendar item now. Please submit a speaker card to the recording. Wait, I forgot something.
Yeah, you forgot the park tour
The
discussion.
park tour discussion.
Yes.
Jim, I'm so sorry about that. Should we shelf that or for the next meeting? Is that possible? Can we do that? Can we make a motion to,
Yeah, we can go back to that.
we can go back to this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then we'll go back to 250529, the park tour discussion. No presentation, just a discussion from Jim Stark.
Yeah, and this can be brief. So we circled the wagons to figure out how we can facilitate the commission meeting as like a park tour. And what we can do is just we'll agendize it as a meeting. So we'll agendize it as a public meeting. We'll run it as a public meeting. It'll just be at the park. I'm not sure the mechanism, if you make a motion or something like that, or if we can just put it on the agenda, but it's doable. We just have to treat it as a public meeting.
Okay, excellent. Any idea which park you want to do it at?
Okay, is it, I've been on the county parks where it's been done similarly. So it's agendized so that they are going to be meeting at this park at this time and at this park at this time. And you just gather, open it for public comments, the same thing, close it, and then have any discussions.
Yeah.
And as long as we agendize that, and I assume it should be okay.
Yeah.
So, but it would be nice to have more than one park covered.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, if I would suggest is we do Las Palmas. We're about to do a major renovation there. And again, I encourage you to attend the meeting, to have your thumb on the pulse of what's going on. It just kind of depends on how much time we want to dedicate. I would say, probably an hour per park. But I would recommend starting with Las Palmas because that's where the renovation is going to happen.
We could also dedicate a day off cycle. Maybe I know the weekend is difficult, but it's maybe a few hours on a weekend if you decide on a weekend that works for staff, and one day, say a Saturday, that works for the commissioners, and pick that day and agendize that, and then go park by park.
Possibly weekends are difficult. Typically, when we've done this in the past, we do it the same day as a commission meeting. So we would have the tour, say like at 4:00, do it before the commission meeting, and then come back and have the regular meeting, so to speak, after that. So weekends are difficult, but weekdays are doable.
I think what might be best is for us to come back at the next meeting with a proposed schedule for what parks and when. The May meeting obviously is one that we need to do here. It's the joint meeting with the Arts Commission and it's focused on budget. So I wouldn't recommend the May one, but perhaps we can bring back just a small schedule for the rest of the year on when you might be able to do those.
Yeah. And if there's parks you would like, I'm just suggesting Las Palmas, but it's up to you all. Whatever y'all would like to do is fine with me. Sure.
I think we can make a motion on there. A motion, I'd make a motion to hold a meeting, one of these meetings at Las Palmas Park, potentially the June meeting. So I don't think there's anything on the agenda specifically for June. No? What do you think, July? Okay, well, we can shelf this conversation for a later date, but I think that's a good idea. I think spending more time at our city parks and getting more people attached to the park is a good idea. Specifically, the park that's going to be on the agenda for renovation next, or when Lakewood Park opens, something over there would be pretty cool too.
Sure.
All right.
And we could always do something during construction also, which is kind of interesting.
Bring your hard hat to work
Yeah.
kind of day, you mean?
Still
Yeah.
those
All right.
shoes.
I like that idea. So moving forward, was there public comment on that particular item?
Not at this time.
Okay, so I'll close public comment on that item and we'll move on to the consent calendar. I will open up public comment on the consent calendar item. Please submit a speaker card to the recording officer. Raise your digital hand now or dial *9 on the telephone to indicate you wish to speak. I will call on members of the public participating in person first, followed by remote participants. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. Recording officer, do we have anyone in person or remote that wants to speak on the consent calendar?
No, we do not.
Okay, excellent. I will close public comment on the consent calendar. I will now ask for discussion or a motion from my colleagues for item 25-0417, approve the Parks and Recreation Commission minutes from February 12th as submitted. Anyone want to make a motion on that? Recognize Commissioner.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that. Can we have a vote, please? Recording officer?
Commissioner Geary,
Aye.
Vice Chair Mason,
Approve.
Commissioner Vermont,
I approve.
Chair Kesting.
I approve.
The motion passes 4 with 1 excused absence.
It's unanimous. We will now move on to non-agenda items and comments. This portion of the agenda is for oral reports and announcements by commissioners and our staff to share information. Commissioners, do we have any non-agenda items or comments? I already shared the part about, commissions. Anyone who wants, if you're interested in being, if you want to be part of this, of the city, be a bigger part of the city, have a great service position, I can't tell you how great this is. It really is. I get to meet so many people. I highly recommend it. And there's so many good spots. There's 2 spots available on the Housing Commission. You want to talk about how we need more houses here in the city? That's a great spot to do it. I think there's a vacant spot on the Sustainability Commission. It's needed. Please speak with Laura. She'll get you the phone number. She'll get you the details for all that. It's not a huge commitment and it makes a big difference in your community. Does anybody else have any non-agenda items? Commissioner Geary?
Just wanted to, we didn't have a chance to talk after the public comments on the, so I just wanted to add, I like the idea of keeping it free because I like tennis courts. I think it'll be great to keep as much as possible. But also if we can somehow kind of understand the utilization. The good thing about with the reservations are that how much is being used. I mean, what hours are the peak hours? But I don't know what's a better approach. Maybe pick the most popular time spots, leave it for free play, and the non-popular ones we can do a reservation based. That way, city also has some statistics on how it's being utilized, right? So I thought I'd make a comment on that.
Yeah, I have to second that. It's amazing to see people from the public come out to talk about what's important to them. I know it does seem like it's really slow, and that's because it is, but there's a reason for it. It never runs as fast as you want. I've been talking about dog off leash areas for 3 years now. But I know it's going to happen. I have complete faith that it will occur. If you go out there and you push it, it will happen. So don't give up. Anything else? Okay, cool. So with that, this meeting is adjourned at,
Staff comment.
oh, wait a second, staff comments. I'm so sorry. I take that adjournment now. I get to bang my gavel a second time, a third time. How can we help you, Jesus?
All right, all good. Okay, so a couple things. One, there will be, I just wanted to make sure that Commission was aware of our HOTS event that's coming up on Saturday, May 3rd from 10 to 3. This is a free event, Prakash. You say you want free? That's free. So come and hang out with us. We'll have some cool art booths and food out there. It's a good time. We usually have 1,000 to 2,000 folks hanging around our recreation center. And then also the other thing I wanted to address, we were asked about the charter review. So I just wanted to let a commission know that I did talk to the city clerk, and he said that if there's anything that comes up that touches the purview of PRC, they will bring it to us so that we have the ability to take a look at it and give our comment. However, if you did have something that you wanted to address, you saw something that you thought, hey, this would be good, maybe if you added or whatnot, and you want council to consider, then you can email charterreview@sunnyvale.ca.gov. It was also emailed to all boards and commissions, so you should also have that email with that description as well. But I just wanted to make sure that we answered that question that was posed a couple months ago.
One other thing, can we get an invitation for the commissioners for the Las Palmas Park review? Have that emailed out?
Yep,
Because otherwise
we'll
I
send it out.
forget
Yep,
about it. man.
No problem. Yep, I had
Thank
made a
you.
note to do that. Yep.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, Jim. If I get that stuff, I show up for it. If I don't, then I'm someplace else. I'm not paying attention to it. All right. So with that, this meeting is adjourned at 8:50 p.m. before 9 o'clock. Woohoo!